Now that you've got mad riz, has there been people sliding in your DMs getting at you?
Bro, I got so many 250-pound men with beards just adding me
Yeah.
at all times.
Welcome back to the pod, and holy shit, what a fucking night that was.
I'm still drunk. Vegas. Holy cow, dude.
Yeah.
A lot of firsts happened for me in Vegas this weekend, guys. And I've been to Vegas numerous times, and am I sad that my shin did not get to explore the scrotum of a dude on Front Street because of a thunderstorm? Very, very sad. So mission 1 was not accomplished, but we pretty much checked all the other boxes that we wanted to accomplish in Vegas. I had, believe it or not, first taxi ride. Kenny took that virginity. The second virginity, your boy sat at a bar and waited for an order. I've never sat at a bar before. I've sat next to a bar. I've talked to girls at a bar. I've never sat down in one of those stools. That was kind of cool too. What else? First Uber ride. Your boy was just checking boxes. I'm usually a shuttle guy where I'm driving my damn self. So I checked a lot of boxes this weekend. Had a great time. PGF was a crazy event. We show up, suited and booted, because we were told to wear our gis, so we did. We show up. They're like, Kenny Wilson? Matt Vega? Come on in. We fucking Garth and fucking Wayne fucking, we had our passes. We went back there. Some guys were wearing Ninja Turtle pajamas. Some guys were dressed like they just fucking on a 7-day bender. Weren't listening to the dress code very well, which I thought was in poor taste, because, you know, if someone says, hey, there's a dress code, listen, they're trying to make this new platform big time. And sometimes us jiu-jitsu guys got to get out of our own ways and class the fuck up a little bit and follow the rules and just try to help this sport become bigger than what we ever could have imagined. Kenny, what are your takes on the PGF?
Well, we got some more firsts.
Okay.
Matt did his first interview, followed up by like another 9 interviews.
Yeah.
And his first interview was Dean Lister.
So I'm like, oh shit, okay. The event's over. We'll go over that and what we think could be what like different and stuff here in a second. But so PGF season 6, it ends. New champ, everybody's starting to stand up. So this is where the media comes in. This is where it's our time to shine. And believe it or not, guys, I'm very talky when I know you, and I can like really like crack jokes when I'm in like a setting I'm like good at. But the introduction part, it's like getting started. Like I need an opener. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not a guy that's just gonna be like, hello, here's my shtick.
Well,
know
you
what
did
I mean?
that.
I know. So I'm like, there's some other guys there. I'm not gonna throw them under the bus, but like they're in the space also, but like they're not as big names as Dean Lister, okay? Well, I'm like, okay, Kenny, who should we go first? And I'm like thinking we're gonna ease ourselves into like the bigger names, right? I was like, well, I'm okay with doing a bunch of these smaller names, and then Dean Lister, and then woo, that was a good one. We got Dean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But Kenny's like, well, Dean Lister's right there. I'm like, and I look at Kenny like, God damn it, Kenny,
He was 8 feet away from where we were standing.
can we like slow it in? And he's sitting down in full conversation with somebody, so I gotta walk up to him. I'm like, So I got the Dean Lister interview. One thing we've learned about Dean Lister: if he says put your back on the fucking mat and look to your right, you put your back to the mat and you look to the fucking right. He was such a fun coach to listen to on the sidelines.
Oh yeah.
You could tell just by the way that he coaches, and these are all high level people, that just shows how good he is. They would listen to him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's like, so he doesn't care. Like Hodger Gracie's watching him, Marco Sibley, all these like world-class jiu-jitsu guys, and Dean's is out there yelling his verbiage and because he knows it's right, and he is that fucking guy, right?
His
So,
voice just cuts through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think at one time you're like, is Dean speaking Spanish? I'm like, Dean Lister. Put some fucking respect on his name.
Yeah,
I could do it all.
Yeah,
He does it all. But like, it was so cool just to be a part of this event. And so, you know, who'd we hit? We hit Dean Lister. That interview will be dropping on our YouTube.
Hodger Gracie.
Hodger Gracie.
We could stop there and be done.
Yeah, that's
But
good.
we
Like, yeah,
didn't.
arguably the GOAT. And I'm gonna get a lot of shit, okay? Especially from my Checkmat crew. And I'm with you guys. I do think Buchecha is the GOAT. Okay? Let's just put that out there right now. I do think that. But arguably, you know, Hodger did beat him that second time. So you can't say that he's not in the argument.
Right.
And he does have a lot of world titles himself. So I go up to Hodger Gracie and I'm like, I'm here with the GOAT, Hodger Gracie. I'm sorry, guys. Hey, I'm not going to go up to Hodger Gracie. I'm already sweaty palms, mom spaghetti. I'm not going to go up to Hodger Gracie and be like, arguably the GOAT, Hodger Gracie. I'm not going to come at him with straight disrespect like that. He's like a 6'5" accountant from State Farm that looks like that would just mangle me.
Yeah. It was funny to see how he. Matt's not a small man, and he made Matt look like a smaller man.
Yeah, and I was getting sized up a little bit.
Yeah, more than a few people.
Some people were sizing me up.
Yeah.
I was like, I got collars on, bro. I'll pull.
This is my game.
This is my game. I'll drag one of you guys.
Eddie Bravo.
Got Eddie Bravo, which was freaking crazy. Some guy that we've all been watching since we were like teenagers.
Yeah.
Rashad Evans.
Rashad Evans.
Former 205 light heavyweight champion of the world UFC. Rashad Evans interview. A lot of great guys.
Andy Varela, the champ.
The champ, Andy Varela.
Ben Eddy.
Zoltan. Brandon McCaffrey. So, yeah, it was just a
great fucking interview.
Jet Thompson.
And
you don't know who that is yet.
But you will.
I mean, this kid is 17.
Purple belt.
Made it to the final. An impassable guard. The flexibility of a spearmint rhino stripper. The kid could lick the back of his thigh if he wanted to. An impossible guard. It was a great event. So let's kind of get into that a little bit. What is your takeaway, Kenny? What would you like to see more? And I have some ideas. Because I did tell some other guys in the podcast space my ideas, and I need to get this out first before they can take it and steal it.
I think all in all, the production value was phenomenal, at least from our standpoint, and from what I'd witnessed earlier in the week on the YouTube broadcast. I don't know what it looked like on the final, side of things on the Fight Pass side, but it was great to be there. Essentially, they rented what would be like a Hollywood soundstage, and they turned it into this event center. So what you see essentially is all smoke and mirrors. It's black curtains, chandeliers, the mats, the white couches, the fancy lighting. Like none of that is there normally. It's just a big empty room. So they did a good job of creating a space for this. It was at this undisclosed location that you would have to know where it's at, off the beaten path to get there. You enter an unmarked side door. It felt neat. You know what I mean? You walk in. It's not like a typical jiu-jitsu event where there's signage leading up to it. I'm on my way, to the right area. The IBJJF tournament's over this way. There's arrows pointing. It's no, someone's go through the side door. You go through the side door. You open it up.
Blink 3 times.
Yeah, you're in a dark room. There's 3 guys standing there in all black suits. They have no badging on them whatsoever. They're just are you here for the event? Yeah, what's your name? They look at their little list. They're yep, right back here.
If you guys know me, I'm a diehard blood sport fan. And it was very Kumite blood sport. Are you guys for the Kumite? Yeah. Show me your credentials. They take you to a back room.
Yeah.
They hide you. They fucking blindfold you halfway. Next thing you pop up, you're at the event. It was pretty sick. There was some eyes wide shut shit.
Yeah. There was tons of coconut water going around.
A lot of coconut water, dude. A lot of probably. I'm not even gonna say it. Nope, that's gonna get cut. So we're just not gonna say that. I'm learning, guys. I'm learning. I'm learning from doing podcasts with you guys that I cannot be 100% me. I can be 98% me, but some stuff is gonna get us canceled in like 10 years, and I'm not trying to do that.
Now it's a match.
Not without the now, yeah. Now it's a party. Hey,
now it's a party. Yeah.
Now it's a party. Not with the connections we made now, and the eyeballs I watch here. I gotta be mindful of my tongue a little bit. So 98%.
Yeah. It was a good event. It was exciting. All the matches were great. We got to see some gentlemen that will be absolute legends in this sport in a decade from now. It was cool to see. And after the matches are all over and the belt gets wrapped on Andy Vrella's waist and all the photo ops are over, in your typical event experience, a UFC card, things like that, it clears out. You see the post-fight interview and T-Mobile Arena is empty in like 10 minutes. Afterwards, you've got Jean-Jacques Machado laying on the ground on the corner of the mat with PJ Barch going over techniques like you could have done this, you could have done that, like trying to level PJ's game up. He's getting essentially a free private lesson from fucking Jean-Jacques Machado, a legend. You got Eddie Bravo standing there watching with a smile on his face. He's fucking chiming in, giving commentary. Oh, you could try this, you could try that. You got fucking, in between matches when the cameras are away from the match, you got Dean Lister and Eddie Bravo on the corner of the mat, spaghetti-legged, fucking going over leg lock theories.
We all do jiu-jitsu. If you listen to this podcast and you don't do jiu-jitsu, what are you waiting for? But mostly all the people that listen to this do jiu-jitsu. And if you've ever done jiu-jitsu, the best part of jiu-jitsu is after class and everybody's bullshitting, going over techniques. That's why jiu-jitsu class is an hour, but you're gone for 4. Right? And it's the same thing. Same thing was here.
Yeah.
Same thing.
It doesn't change just because they're legends.
No, because we love this sport.
Yeah.
So, to me, that was like very cool. That was like, I don't know, man. Just seeing some of the guys that I looked up to as coming up in the game, and I'm like, now to be able to like rub shoulders with them and be in their same space and be like, they know who we are. They know, you know what I mean? It's just pretty cool. So.
Yeah, it was an absolute honor to be there. Huge thanks to Brandon McCaffrey and Zoltan for having us out. Making sure that we were taken care of, putting on a phenomenal event, and something that we look forward to in the future. And, something I'll quote Eddie Bravo on really quickly in regards to his experience, is that he stated that this was probably the best vacation he's ever been on. He got to be surrounded by world-class grapplers. He wasn't coaching. He wasn't working. He reffed some matches here and there and whatnot, but he was basically, the event goes on from like 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock at night. So he gets like, world-class grappling for a few hours at night. He was able to enjoy himself during the day, lay out, do whatever he's got to do. He's not rushed because he's, normally producing these events. So he's there from like, the ass crack of dawn till, the last person to leave kind of a thing. So, it very much did feel like a neat little, like, for us, it was like a one-day turnaround, vacation and whatnot. But like, we got to go do what we love with the pod. I got to experience it with my boy, and then we got, an invite to, this invite only, like, who's who event in the grappling world. And, we're right there, feet away from the legends all the way around us. And it was just a great overall experience. And that's not even talking about like the matches that we saw. There just was some phenomenal talent there. there's not enough good things that we can say about the people that we saw, but goddamn, Andy Varela is a fucking monster, dude.
Yeah, let's get into that. Like, the man, level black zone, came in and absolutely just said, I'm winning this. And then he went against Jet Thompson, and taking nothing away from that kid, he beat the who's who to get to the final.
Right.
And the kid's got tremendous skill, and he's going to be in this game for a long time. But Varela's like,
It's my time.
There was a moment in the match where Varela gave him that open hand. Don't you talk to your mother like that? Smack across the 5-finger discount, smack across the face, and this, psh, and we're like, literally, bitch slapped the fuck out of the kid. And because the kid showed no fear and was like using his hand for spacing and framing, and Varela's like, hey, little man, I'm gonna have to give you this dog. I'm a fucking grown ass man. I need this 20K.
Right.
And so kind of thugged it up and made it a dirty fight, which I fucking respect. And ended up passing, and ended up getting a sub. And was it a sub across the neck? No, he went right across the face.
Yeah.
And choked the kid out.
Yeah. Gave him the business.
Very similar to Khabib Connor, right across the face, and got that dub, won that 20K. So congrats, Andy Varela. That was just, what an event, dude.
Yeah.
What an event. Now, that being said, how are we going to make the PGF better, Kenny, moving forward?
Matt is a man of many ideas, and he's firing. We're like one match into it, and Matt's like, we got to do this, and this should happen, and so the way the PGF format is currently set up is at the beginning of every season. A season is 1 week long, so they do it day after day after day, back to back to back. You have the draft on Sunday, so all the teams are created that Sunday. On Monday, you have your first matches. There's 20 competitors on 4 different teams, so 5 guys per team, 5 competitors per team. Every guy rolls with 1 guy from each other team every night. So there's 3 matches a night for 4 nights in a row. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Between just those 4 days, these guys are doing 15 matches. Right? No, 12 matches.
12.
And then on it, and that's the end of the season. The season ends. So whatever team has the most points, we won't get into the point structure and all. There's plenty of stuff out there you can see about that. We've talked about it in the past. But at the end of that 4-day season, the team with the highest points wins the pot. So it was a $100,000 grand prize for the winning team this time around. Now, at the end of that, they take the top 8 scorers from all of the teams. So if 5 were, the top 5 scorers were from one team, they would be there, and then 3 guys from other teams or whatever, but it was just a mixture of different teams. So they take the top 8 guys and they put them in a bracket, and then the rule set slightly changes, and it turns into essentially a miniature EBI tournament in a one-night thing, 8-man bracket, and the winner of that wins an extra 20K. So potentially, if you're on the winning team for the season and you end up being being high in points and go on to win the championship, you could walk away with 40 grand in a week's worth of grappling work. That being said, we're talking 12 high-level, world-class jiu-jitsu matches, 3 per night, and these guys' bodies are just wrecked. I mean, last night we saw one kid, I could see he probably had 6 or 7 massive bruises on his leg like that from people pushing into his thighs, breaking guard, things like that. So their bodies are going through hell in this week. But the way that it's currently set up is that structure. It's a week-long tournament, and they do a draft, a fresh draft at every season. So Matt starts coming up with these ideas, and he's like, well, what if we don't what if we don't disband that team at the end of the season, and you stay on that team? You're signing these guys to 2-year, 3-year, 4-year contracts, and they're on that team for that period of time. And the next season when we do a draft,
it's new guys.
new guys, and then you can use your current guys as leverage for trades, things like that, buy out contracts. You're just bringing in free agents each season. Not everybody, maybe the guy that got signed to a contract wants to back out of the contract. He doesn't want to compete in PGF this year. Then, essentially he just kind of falls off, and they've got those funds left over to fill, the next spot. And then, Brandon
it's an open cap. Brandon's like an open cap. Like brought up to McCaffrey, and he's kind of the same idea. They just got to get the funding for it, right? So my thing is, look, we'll use Andy Varela as an example because he's the champion and he deserves the clout right now. Say Andy Varela is, so the teams I think like brands shouldn't be able to get the teams, own teams, because
so like there was a Black Rifle team, there was an Ex-Martial team, there was an Epic Roll team, and there was a what was the fourth one?
I don't remember.
Black Rifle, Epic Roll.
Anyhow,
Ex-Martial.
These guys, they should own the team. Like these gi companies or jiu-jitsu brand companies owning the team, that kind of puts conflict on some of the fighters, first of all, because some of the fighters are sponsored by other brands.
Right.
So I feel like it should be the coconut water, or they could be sponsored of certain parts of the event, but like not of the team itself.
Right.
Because the team should have like a generic name, and it should be like, okay, we drafted we'll say Barracudas, because I'm an old fucking Hidden Temple fan, okay? Barracudas, they drafted Andy Varela to a 3-year deal. Andy, we would like to pay you we'll pay you $6,000 on a 3-year deal.
Right.
That's 3 seasons worth of work. So that's $2,000 per week. If you decide you have to do all 3 seasons to get the $6K. Andy Varela signs. Cool, I like that. Boom, he signs. He's on your team for 3 seasons. He goes 1 season with you, and he decides, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. Or you're like, I want to trade Andy Varela to the Bobcats. And the Bobcats like, oh, we like Andy Varela, we'll take him. He's like, yeah, but he's got freaking $4,000 left on his deal. They gotta pay his salary to take him on a team. Then we're talking real sports here. When you lock these guys up into multiple year deals, then when you have your high level guys who are just like loving the PGF, like, oh, dude, Gordon Ryan's a free agent. He's not on any team. Gordon, would you like to fight for the freaking,
right?
For our team, we'll pay you $8,000 a week for 3 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, he's the biggest deal in PGF history. He fights for so-and-so on an $8,000 deal. And
what we're talking about in a week would be a season.
Yeah. So it's, yeah.
Yeah. The season's only a week long.
So yeah. So
currently.
So like $8,000 in 3 weeks of work over 3 years. It's like, I'm going to go. So, I mean, I feel like that's where the sport should go. And then every year there should be new guys in a draft, and then you have your feeder leagues that can get guys recognition. And
well, one of the things that we had talked about when we did the original BMAC interview was how to make these athletes professional athletes, and you're gonna have to get people behind the athletes. You've got to turn these guys into stars, and it's hard to do in like a typical tournament-based format. By signing these guys to multi-year contracts, or what we'd even talked to Brandon about, the possibility of making this like a regional thing, to where you have these teams that are based out of regions. You've got he was saying conferences, so you've got your Eastern Conference, your Western Conference, and then those teams compete amongst themselves, and then they have their conference championships, and then you got essentially what would be a Super Bowl or your final championships. So they're talking about the possibility of taking this even outside of the U.S. Maybe there's a European conference, maybe there's an East Asian conference, and then at the end of the year you're bringing together multiple countries to do one big finale event. Like the top team from each one of those conferences comes to compete, and it's like by having these people signed to one regional, now you've got, we're California boys. If there's a West Coast team, like that's probably where we're gonna, place our allegiance at, because that's going to be essentially our hometown. And now, we invest in the players that are on our team. We become fans of the players that are on our team. Like you're claiming a team at that point. And I think that's kind of what's neat about the team concept they have now. But because it's not a regional thing and it's a brand thing, it's like, we're Level Black boys, we're the Malavita boys. Like if we're not represented in that, like I don't have a stake in Black. I don't drink coffee. You know what I mean? Like, am I just
soy?
Yeah,
soy
He's
latte.
over here, soy latte from Starbucks. Starbucks doesn't have a team at PGF, so it's by making it brand-centered team, you're kind of limiting your potential to touch an audience. But by making it a regional thing, now you've got people like to be tribal. And kind of fall into that. People become these diehard sports fanatics of franchises. So by creating sports team franchises that aren't necessarily brand based, but just regionally locked franchise bases and whatnot, that's how you develop your fan base behind them. And now you're building the stars that are on your team. You're going to have those guys that are just outstanding. Like I'm telling you right now, if you would have told me that this 17-year-old purple belt Jet Thompson kid's going to come out and wreck shop and be one of the biggest names at the end of the season, I would have told you. I would have said first, I said who, and then I would have told you you're out of your fucking mind, because I don't think a single person in there outside of like maybe 4 or 5 guys, Brandon McCaffrey and Zoltan and whatever, knew who this Jet Thompson kid was. But he made it there for a reason, and my God, did he fucking show out.
So what it means is, if you want to add like rookies and you want to add like more unknown guys, you got to have more teams, okay?
Yeah.
Which is going to obviously be bigger of a budget. So how I would bring up younger athletes, because you already got established free agents that don't need to freaking compete to get on a team. Your Rotolos, your Musamekis, your Mickey Galvals, your Dorians, all these guys that are really, really good in the no-gi space,
Right.
Craig Jones, Nicky Rods, they don't have to, a team will sign them like that. This name your price, we're going to try to get you on the roster.
Right.
If you meet the acquired weight class for the said season, right? But the guys that people don't know from like these maybe feeder leagues, I think they need to embrace kind of like an IBJJF tournament season for like PGF season for
Right.
for like almost like invitationals. Anybody can do it. Anybody can sign up, and this will help your funding for your pros.
Right.
Because they're not getting anything out of it. It's basically a PGF qualifying seasons, and you establish points. And if you establish a ton of points, you get invited to the draft.
Right. So right now, the PGF is coming out of pocket for everything. The organization's coming out of pocket for everything. They're paying for the grand prize. They're paying the salaries for each of the players for that week. They're putting them up in rooms. They're paying for the venue, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When it comes to normal professional sports, we'll just use the NBA as an example. The NBA as a league is not paying for the athlete salaries. The teams are paying for the salaries. The NBA as a league isn't paying for the expenses, the travel expenses, the lodging, the per diem for food, things like that. They're not covering any of that stuff. Now, if the PGF were able to work their way into that position where we're putting up the money for the grand prize, and now they're not having to fork out as much, that first of all, that grand prize money could increase if they're not having to pay the salaries, the room and the board, the travel costs, etc., right? And if the teams were the ones covering that, and now where the teams make their money is from merch sales, on jerseys, on fighter kits, things like that. The same way that Nike makes money. You know what I mean? Like Nike pays LeBron James to have a LeBron James shoe. Nike doesn't own a team. You know what I mean? They just sponsor an athlete. You like this athlete, so
a Level Black Varela Bobcat kit,
right,
could sell,
right,
or whatever, virtually, right? But yeah, so like PGF, your bottom leagues, this is how you're going to fund your whole freaking season. you create an IBJJF platform money-wise where people are just paying $150 just to be in this tournament.
Right.
And by the points you collect in the season, if you collect enough points off wins and losses, you get invited to the draft. And every year, only so many people get drafted.
Right.
And all they've done is paid money to try to get here.
Right.
They've never been collected a dime PGF from you. You've never paid them. But once they get drafted, that's like going pro, and now you're getting on a retainer on a base salary, which could be like $500 for 3 years, a week, or something. And then, you know, if you earn your name, you can restructure your deal.
Right.
So,
yeah,
that's you know. And I thought like maybe the stalling, sometimes, you know, I feel like you can't when you're rolling with like. A lot of times the stalling calls and the ref format is kind of like we're trying to learn the rules, right? I thought like you can't punish a guy for being fully mounted and trying to finger walk a guy's arm up to his head,
right,
and say that he's stalling. The guy's in a dominant position. I feel like if you wanted to stall the guy on top like that, it's like we're basically, as jiu-jitsu guys, we hate it when the ref stands him up.
Right.
In MMA. Like, he was working.
Right.
Like, what?
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
you gotta stay busy. So, like, removing somebody from mount and putting them on their back because of a stalling call, the bottom guy was kind of stalling because he was like, you know, he was waiting for the...
It's the guy on the bottom's job to work, not the guy on the top.
The guy on top is in a checkmate position.
Right.
So, I feel like if you wanted to implement that, punish him for the stalling. But, okay, the guy on top, the guy in full mount, stalling, you're not moving, right? But the guy on the bottom has to get to a half guard, has to get to a full guard, or something like that to activate the switch.
Gotcha. So he's not in mount anymore. Once he recovers a leg,
then okay, there's the punishment.
Right.
Otherwise, he could just ride out the whole time. It's like you got a way out, but you can't just lay there on your back.
Right.
You have to earn it.
Right.
And then the ref will switch it.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, nah, because you could have just screwed the guy for being in a dominant position, and I think that's
right. I think that there's an opportunity for there to, and then they talked about this as well. They're gonna, I think, go back now that they've got a good example of this, you know, on a larger scale level like this. They're gonna fine tune the reffing, and kind of develop a reffing course for this rule set. I think the PGF rule set is something that's going to be around for a while. It's kind of a hybrid of like the EBI rule set, which is a phenomenal, you know, sub-only no-gi rule set that was created by Eddie Bravo that a lot of leagues have adopted. And it's like almost a mesh of that and the ADCC rule set. You know, they right now they're shorter matches, they're 5-minute matches. In the finals, they end up being 10-minute matches. I think a lot of guys would like to see these be maybe 10-minute matches all season, because 5 minutes really is not a lot of time on a world-class black belt level. You know what I mean? We're not talking these, you know, we're not talking blue belts or purple belts in an IBJJF gi tournament or something like that. Like, this is like the cream of the crop. You know what I mean? Like, the best guys in the world are doing this right now, and they know. You know, the coaching they're getting from the sideline is minimal. They're not having to turn their head to see what coach wants me to do next, you know, because they've drilled all this shit so many times. They've developed the systems. They know that, you know, A leads to B, B leads to C, etc. So, you know, they need a little bit more time to work, especially, you know, when we're talking about these top mount positions and things like that, where they're going to have to, you know, finger walk an arm up to try to get a submission. Like, not everything's right there. If the guy on the bottom is not moving, the guy on the bottom is technically stalling because he's not trying to work out from the bottom. And it's those are the moments where, when you're the guy on top, where you have the opportunity to get your finishes, is when the guy is on the bottom is working to get out and he makes a mistake and he gives you a limb that he wasn't supposed to give you, or he turns, you know, too far to the side and now you're able to take his back. Those are your opportunities to capitalize. But if he's just laying there letting you smother him, he's not working, so he's not offering anything that you can really capitalize of. So you shouldn't be penalized for that, you know. So it's like just a few things I think they're gonna, you know, refine before the next season. And I think what we're gonna see next season is gonna be an even more polished product. And I think the sky's the limit for this thing, guys. I really do.
They're going, like, the NBA is getting a lot of, if you're a basketball fan, the NBA is getting a lot of flack for this right now because there's 120-point games, 130-point games, because they've kind of eliminated the defense from NBA, and they want it to be more exciting for people to watch. So there's no ticky-tack. There's ticky-tack fouls. You can't put your hand on somebody. You can't do certain things that you used to be able to do in the 80s and 90s. You can't do that no more because it made the game like more defensive, and people like to see points. People like to see scoring. And I get that from the perspective of the fan who doesn't know jiu-jitsu, and I get that. But like, you gotta, like, I don't want to, like, the NBA is getting a lot of heat for that right now because you're taking away, you took away good defense, and like real fans love good defense. And by making people move and make people give up dominant positions when they have people, you know, and they're trying to cook and they're trying to, you know, cooking is a thing, you know what I mean? Cooking is a real thing in jiu-jitsu. And
like you mentioned in conversation before, especially when it comes to the heavyweights.
Yes, you're fighting for every inch, every move in jiu-jitsu. One little knee, one move this way, a hand here, a hand there, makes all the difference. So, which I thought they did a pretty good job, but like, of course, that, I mean, and that's. I know it's only season 6. And I said this to the BMAC, but it felt like season 1, right?
Right.
And
I think for the world it did, because you know, this is the first time that this rule set and this tournament has been on a world stage like this. Before, you know, he even says it was a regional thing. It was BMAC's been paying out of this, you know, for this tournament out of his pocket for the first 5 seasons. You know what I mean? He's just a guy that runs a gym, you know, in you know, a good gym.
Yeah, and a good YouTube, good social media, but
yeah, but he's only got some. He's not a multi-millionaire. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have just the funds to kind of fork it, you know, and just make this. He hadn't built it, and he's done a great job at that. And I think people are taking notice of what he's built and wanting to add to it. So I hope that after this season, we see some other money investors look at this and go, I'd love to build a team.
And that goes for coaches too. So these coaches were all legends, right? And they all have gyms. So if you get signed to a 3-year deal by a team that has a coach who's Dean Lister, who's on payroll.
Right.
Dean, how much to have you as our coach
right.
for 3 years? That's 3 weeks out of your time. Boom, boom, boom. Dean has a victory gym, right? He's like, hey, you're on my roster. Y'all on the team that owns you is going to pay for you to come to San Diego.
Right.
And train with me for 2 months before the season, so I can get to know your game, you can get to know my style, and you essentially you go into camp with your coach's squad because they all are freaking legends, have their own stuff.
And how much of a benefit would that be to these world-class athletes already? That it's like, you may have a great coach already, but now you're also getting the benefit of, you know, that cross-pollination, that cross-training of these other world-class, you know, legend coaches.
And you're at their gym and you're in their camp.
Right. Like, you become one of their people. Now you have a second family away from your initial gym and family. And you can take the skills that you learned in that camp and bring that back to you. You know what I mean? Like, that's how the sport grows, and that's how these athletes get better is by, you know, getting work from different spots. You know what I mean?
We're here, PGF. You could just, you know, you need to just get us on board with talk. We'll put us on a committee. Get us on a committee, dude. Anyways, we have heavy PGF today.
Guys, here's why your hormones suck. If you're listening to this, then chances are you may be one of countless guys who are struggling to see the results they want in the gym, in the mirror, or even in the bedroom. Most guys are focused on testosterone. However, that's only 50% of the answer. Without adequate growth hormone and its end result, growth factors, you can't optimally absorb the testosterone you have, no matter if it's synthetic or natural. That's where BioPro Plus comes in. BioPro Plus fills in what you're missing out on to help maximize your performance in the gym and even how you look in the mirror without any needles, side effects, or doctor visits, all at a fraction of the cost of synthetic treatments. Over the last few years, BioPro Plus has been taking the medical community by storm as a faster, easier to use, and 100% safe alternative to prescription HGH and peptide treatments. It's become an underground favorite for professional and combat sports athletes and has been featured in Men's Journal, Muscle and Fitness, and even venture capitalist magazines. Simply put, BioPro Plus is getting real guys, real results, really fast. Check them out and enjoy your new look on life.
Let's get into some questions. and so I can make some stuff that I'm embarrassed about and want you to delete later. So here we go.
Okay. Nate Mooskie's favorite scary movies.
You know what, Nate? Look, I was talking to Nate. Me and Nate, we went to our families got together with the dinner last week. I don't like scary movies, guys. I do not like scary movies. I am a scaredy cat. I remember watching scary movies with a really, really, really attractive girl back in the day, and I was scared going in. Like, I was scared of E.T. when I was a kid.
Oh wow.
What
a pussy.
I was scared of Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Really?
Yeah. Your boy does not do scary movies. I just don't like jumpy shit that jumps out at me. Like, it's
Matt's
really
not
quiet.
into Goosebumps.
It's really, really quiet, and then all of a sudden, like, and then it's like a cat or something.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, dude. And then all of a sudden, it's something scary. Like, I don't like that ride.
I like fucked up scary movies.
So Nate's like, yeah, I was watching The Devil Within, headphones on in the dark
Yeah.
in my room. I'm like, well, first of all, you got problems.
Yeah.
Secondly, that ain't my fucking cup of tea, man. So I don't like scary movies. I'm not opposed. It's more of like I don't like the demonic stuff.
Okay. Yeah. There could be a touch of reality in that.
Realistic, like guy trying to
Yeah.
kill me. I'm like, dude, I'm freaking collar drag your ass. Fighting in movies annoys me too because I'm like, dude, sweep them.
I grew up watching. My mom was a big horror movie fan, so I grew up watching horror movies as a kid. And like a little kid. When I was in kindergarten, they asked me to draw a family portrait, and I draw everybody in the my mom, my sister, my mom's boyfriend, me, all wearing brown and red striped sweaters like Freddy Krueger. We all had cloth hands, and my teacher called my mom in for a parent. I didn't find this out until I was an adult. Teacher called my mom in for a parent-teacher conference and showed her the picture and was like, "Your son has issues." And my mom's like, "No, we watch a lot of horror movies, blah blah blah. Like, I'm really sorry, but." And that was just like that was how I bonded with my mom. We watch scary movies, so I love.
I did not picture your mom as a scary movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, not me. Like I said, I went to that damn event, like with that girl. Went to the movies with her, and we watched Paranormal Activity. And like that part where like the time goes and the lady's just, and it's like the time's lapse. She's standing over her husband.
Right.
Cause she's like, had me so fucking
bugged out
when she flies. Spoiler alert. When she flies at the freaking camera, the girl I was with jumped so high in the movie theater. I was like, "Where you going, bitch?" I fucking jumped with her. And we were just up at the fucking top, like, hey, we were fucking. Yeah, no, I don't do scary.
I'd say my favorite scary movies. I was a big fan of like the Freddy Krueger movies and the Friday the 13th movies when I was a kid. But now I look back and they're kind of cheesy. I like. I hate and like the ones where. I think it was The Others, where there was like the serial killer family that you don't know who they are, but it's like a man, a woman, and like a small child, and they're wearing masks the whole time.
I am your daughter. Yeah.
And it's like
they were the ghosts.
No. This was in a ghost movie. These people. It was like a boyfriend and girlfriend that went out to this like an Airbnb in like the forest or whatever. And for the movie's 2 hours long. For the first hour, you just see these people walking around this house, kind of getting familiar with it, and you don't see a single scary person. Like an hour and 5 minutes into the movie, all of a sudden you see like the little girl wearing a mask, but she's like hiding behind a curtain. And you just see the woman walk by, and she doesn't notice the girl standing there. And then you notice that like the husband will be in the kitchen, and he's like getting a bowl of cereal, and the way the camera's set up, like the cabinet door will close, and all of a sudden you'll see the guy standing in the doorway wearing a mask, but the husband that was in the kitchen didn't notice him. Like, you're just like, these people are fucking there to kill, and you don't even notice that they're there. Like, that gives me anxiety.
That shit's scaring me right now. I'm a little nutted up right now.
Yeah, I was getting anxiety with this shit, like, oh fuck! And then like I just remember like they all die in like the last like maybe 10 minutes of the movie, but it's like you go so long of just like this like suspense, like how come you're not seeing him? How come you're not seeing him? And it just builds on your anxiety, and finally at the end.
I remember the days of the landline. We were watching, what's that movie called? The Ring?
Oh, yeah, with the girl on the TV and the hair and all that.
Yeah, we were watching that. I had some girls over at the apartment, and we were watching that. And this was like early cell phones were just a thing, so I didn't really have my Nokia cell phone.
Uh-huh.
And all I had was a house phone. And all of a sudden, like, these girls had one, and they called the house phone, like, right when it, like, goes, 7 days.
Shut the fuck
And we were,
up.
it's like 2 in the morning, and they call our house phone, and it rang, like, right at the time. Scared the fucking shit out of me.
Shout out to
what
those
the
girls.
Yeah.
Danny Wayne, now that you've got Mad Riz, has there been people sliding in your DMs getting at you?
Bro, I got so many 250-pound men with beards just adding me
Yeah.
at all times.
I've never had a woman hit me up on the BJJ Balance or my personal Instagram fucking because of this podcast at all, period. It's been a lot of dudes sharing like weight loss photos because they started jiu-jitsu and they were fat beforehand. A lot of dudes saying they're going into their next competition, how should they be feeling? Just jiu-jitsu related questions, that's strictly it.
I would say I have some female followers that DM me, but it's not like that.
Yeah.
I would say it's more like they just think I'm funny, or they like my stuff. So I don't.
Yeah.
It's nothing like no. The thirst trap ain't real for the 40-year-olds.
No. You could look at if you look at our demographics on both IG and YouTube, it's very clearly 35 to 45 males.
So it's all
Like-
10% women. Am I?
Oh, not mine. No.
And they're like, and I was all, that's only 10% women. And then my buddy's like, that's 10,000 girls, dude. And I was all, that's like almost 10,000 girls.
Yeah.
And I'm all, oh, good point.
Yeah.
Good point. I gotta watch what I say.
So,
These
yeah.
purple belt memes aren't making you mad. You guys are staying around.
We should start a purple belt dating site.
That'd be fucking a lot of action.
Not a lot of relationships there.
A lot of breakups, dude. Purple belt diaries.
Judo Jedi. BJJ is like chess. What chess piece would you be and why? Example, I'd be a knight. I like to attack from my feet.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know how to rules of chess, but
Matt plays chess like Matt reads. He doesn't.
yeah, it's a thinking man's game. You know what I mean? I'm a more square peg, circle hole type of guy. You never move your back row. Fucking, that's black sheep. I'm not a queen. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I would say probably a knight. I like to stay on the feet also, if that's what knights do.
Yeah.
I like to freaking get after it and fight. Not a king. Definitely not a king, because, once you start calling yourself a king, you end up getting killed. So
I'd like to say, well, once you start calling yourself a king, now everybody wants to attack you. I'd like to say that I am a pawn who's stepping into the role of a rook.
there we go.
I think I'm getting there.
Good question, dude. Thanks for following, Mario. Appreciate it. Jiu-jitsu, though, bro. Let's start saying, I know you like your judo, Mario, and you're a judoka, or whatever you guys call yourself. Do the guys call themselves judokas?
Well, I think I looked at his page recently. He's a blue belt in judo.
No, he's I think he's a brown belt in both.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Well,
It could be more in judo. I know he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, but like seriously though, jiu-jitsu's better, right? Like, it's been years, right? Jiu-jitsu's better. When you got in that fight in that parking garage and it went viral, you tried some jiu-jitsu stuff, but you were hitting butterfly sweeps. You know what I'm saying? Like,
he got in a fight in a parking garage?
yeah, it was a couple of years back. It was very viral. Send us the video. Send us the video, Mario. I know you got it, because I'd have saved that for life. I'd be showing my kids that forever.
No shit.
Fought like 4 guys in the parking garage.
Is that the one with the cholos?
No, that's not him.
Oh, I was gonna say, Jesus Christ!
That's not him.
We're having you on the pod, bro.
No, I don't know where. I think it was at Pachanga. I'm not sure.
No
But,
shit. Yeah,
Send us
this
the video. We'll post it.
Dude, we'll fucking show it and commentate it on the.
Yeah,
fucking-
we'll all do a breakdown of it.
Yeah.
You did a lot of jiu-jitsu in there, man. So let's not frown on the jiu-jitsu. Next question.
That's it.
He doesn't. Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
He doesn't really frown on jiu-jitsu, guys. But he likes both. But if you had to say judo or jiu-jitsu, he's choosing judo. You know, and that's okay.
Wait, bro, where do you have the time to do both?
And he sings karaoke.
Family? Single?
He's got family.
How the fuck do you do all that?
Fucking, I don't know, man. That's Mario, dude.
Fucking
Anyways, guys, you think what I'm thinking, bro?
aim for the bushes.
Aim for the bush. This has been a car cast. We're in the car again. Shout out to everybody who shared our stuff and posted us and tagged us in Vegas this last weekend. That was pretty cool. We'll be back on the regular schedule moving forward, back on the gray couch. Now we can start focusing on our next guest. A lot of people have been asking, like, hey, I want to be on, or hey, this, that, this.
Right.
But we were so focused on this PGF thing right now. Now that this is behind us, we can start focusing on working on our rash guard,
Right.
working on other things, getting more guests lined up, more. We can actually, like, I'm not saying it's a weight off our shoulders, but it's like we were just hyper focused on this.
Right.
And now we
We
can
wanted
kind
to
of
make sure that we did it right and that we did right by the invite, you know, like this was not to like toot our own horns or pat ourselves in the back or anything, but like this was a super exclusive event and, you know, we were very blessed to be a part of it or, you know, to be asked to come out for it. So we wanted to make sure that we did right by Brandon, by Zoltan, to make sure that we represented our brand well, we represent our fans well, and we went out there and got some content that we think you guys will enjoy. And kind of, this is kind of us making our mark officially. You know, we're less than a year in the game, but I would say at this point we are officially a part of the BJJ media at this point. So
if people thought like, oh, how long is this gonna last? Oh, it's pretty good, but how long? Like, if this doesn't solidify, maybe you guys already thought that, but to us, it's like it kind of gave us like clarification, like we're here,
right.
and as Dale Doback would say, we're here to fuck shit up. So thanks for following us at Host Nation BJJ, at Freak Party BJJ, at BJJ Balance on Instagram, at BJJ Balance on YouTube. All these clips are going to be posted here this next week.
Yeah.
Kenny will post them on TikTok soon. I'll be posting on TikTok at Host Nation. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the love. And we'll catch you next time. Os.